Welcome to the Mapuana Reed Show. Today we have Ann Yoshida with us, and I am so very blessed to be sitting with you here and to be able to interview you.
Thank you, Mapuana.
Yeah.
It's been awesome here. Just getting to know you and knowing that you are the sister of my good friend and my cousin.
Yes.
I feel comfortable and I'm excited to hear what you want to hear about me.
Yeah, I want to know everything.
Oh, we might be here for a long time then.
Yeah. I have this thing called Her Job, so Her Journey on Becoming. So JOB Journey on Becoming. So I want you to take us on your journey on becoming.
Hmm, yeah. So just like superficial stuff.
Yeah, whatever you
Um,
want to share.
Yeah, raised here in Hawaii. Grew up in Mililani with Lorraine, actually, and um, I had went to Mililani High School, went to school up in Utah, and got into a car crash there, and left me paralyzed. And then
How old were you?
I was
Okay.
21-ish, and in my senior year of college, actually, and
Hmm.
really like I was gaining my idea of what I would be as an adult. And, where you're like trying to shed your parents' influence and, kind of create who you are as your identity and things like
Hmm.
that. So, fast forward, I came back home and, yeah, just lived home. Um, I think I was always a water woman, so surfing and paddling and swimming and diving and fishing is all really deep setted into my blood and into my family history. So um, I didn't know I could, you know, go in the water after
Hmm.
being paralyzed.
Hmm.
And once I was able to get in the water, that identity, kind of went back into me. Yeah. And it was
Mm.
like this life when I got back into the water and um, realized that I could just be me and,
Hmm.
you know, do one thing at a time. And yeah, I had a great time.
Hmm.
Um, Fast forward, I went to the Paralympics and
That's
represented.
amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing when I like look back and talk about it.
Yeah.
But when I was in the thick of it, it was the process, and I was just going through it and just doing the next thing that I could do.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that I was going to go to the Paralympics
Hmm.
until I started winning medals and stuff,
Hmm.
And then I'm like, oh, maybe I can go to the Paralympics. And
Yeah.
yeah,
It's the what if. Like, what if I surfed again?
yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Then I got my degree and became an occupational therapist and
Yeah.
rehab counselor and um, helped found a organization called Access Surf and um, yeah, now I'm a farmer.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like it was when you got back into the ocean again that gave you the hope to be like, okay, I could do this. So then what next can I do?
Yeah, I never jump into yeah, I never jumped into surfing or
Hmm.
paddling knowing that it was going to be so empowering for me.
Mm.
Um, I just knew that I wanted to feel like myself again. Yeah.
Hmm.
Because I had like almost been stripped from the identity that I thought I was as an
Hmm.
adult and,
Hmm.
forming me being an adult. And so
Hmm.
once I got into that water, I was like, oh, I can be a water person again. Um,
Mm.
and there's a lot of creativity with getting back in the water and adapting the activity or the equipment or
Hmm.
even understanding like the knowledge to know how to get back into the water.
Hmm.
And I would go with friends and family and all kinds of people and just learned everything like anything else really. Just learned that I could get in the water, I could surf, I could paddle, I could, you know those things, everything
Hmm.
really.
What gave you the strength to pursue surfing and farming, paddling, and all of that?
Oh, so like the strength within, I feel like I was a strong person always,
Hmm.
right? I was born and came to this earth to be the person that I am. Yeah.
Hmm.
And so sometimes you lose that
Hmm.
and you lose that direction. Maybe you haven't even like committed yourself or
Hmm.
you haven't connected with you with who you actually were born here to be.
Hmm.
And I felt this, I think when you are doing the things that you know you were born to do,
Mm-hmm.
um, there is this power that's
Mm-hmm.
behind that. And doors open up,
Mm-hmm.
opportunities open up, and you don't necessarily know what those opportunities are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to keep yourself um, still and uh, open
Mm-hmm.
to feeling
Mm-hmm.
so that you can know that might be what I want to do. And when I do that, oh, it's really
Mm-hmm.
cool. So,
Was there a turning point for you that you decided to like this? I may be in a wheelchair, but this is not going to hold me
mm,
back.
yeah. So when I was in the hospital, there were a few people that came to visit me who were in wheelchairs
Mm-hmm.
and used wheelchairs. And I saw a pretty big difference. And it was like almost like I want to say bipolar, but it was like, there was two pendulums or a pendulum that swung both sides,
Mm-hmm.
and one was like victimizing, using victimization as a platform um, to do whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So having a disability and using that as like, I'm a victim of being, disabled.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other side of the pendulum, I saw people saying, you do whatever you want to do. You can, there is nothing that can stop you, only yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm going to choose that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
chose really early when I was in the hospital
Yeah.
to choose that. But before that, as a child, I grew up very different. And my mom and dad were exact opposites. And they like, put me through a lot of opportunities
Mm-hmm.
to, like something like I went to my what was that called? The one before kindergarten?
Preschool.
Preschool,
Yeah.
yes. The preschool that I went to, my mom put together with a bunch of our church friends and the kids, and we would go to the different parents' houses and do different things. And I learned
Mm.
about like rose farming, and I learned about accounting and homemaking and bread making and all kinds of things. And so that was not normal back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
My friends all went to like these I don't know, different types of preschools,
Yeah.
Hanalani or other places like that.
Yeah.
So in the get-go, I was already kind of different, separated from the
Yeah.
pack a lot. And, my mom would also, in order for me to get my driver's license, she put me through the full scouting program when the scouting program wasn't accepting women. Yeah. So we did it
Wow.
on the side, and I had friends that did some with me. So, and, till this day, I look at that and I'm like, what was my mom thinking? She was like definitely an innovator before her
Yeah.
time. Yeah, because
Yeah.
those types of things didn't happen until what, 2000s or
Yeah.
something. One of the girls, my friend that I canoe surf with, her girl is in the scouting program now,
Yeah.
and she got her life just recently, and I was like, that is so awesome that women can do that. I
Yeah.
was so excited, but I feel like we should be able to learn and balance and
Yeah.
do whatever we want to do. Really, I
Yeah.
think it, yeah. So
Yeah. So it's really about mindset. It's your mindset and you decide to choose, right? So I always say this, everything's 50-50. You could either go for it and you got a 50-50 chance of you're going to make it happen, or you could not. That's the other flip coin, is that you could just be a victim, And so it's a choice that you want to make.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there is something deeper than just the mindset.
Yeah.
There's something that we were like drawn and pulled to.
Mm.
And it was like almost like a gift within us.
Yeah. Is that like
And
your intuition?
yeah, I would
Yeah.
say that now, intuition,
Yeah.
your spirit, things like that.
Yeah.
And it pulls you, it draws you to things that you have no clue why you do those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can say, like, even looking back, and hopefully in the future, I can look back and say everything that I've done thus far has prepared me to be where I'm at right now, speaking to you all.
Yeah.
and sharing my experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about farming. You farm?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you have a farm. You also have a retreat
Yep.
where you hold retreats. Like, yeah, let's talk about
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So 2.5 years ago,
Okay.
um, I left my job and
What were you doing for your job?
um, I was working with kids with disabilities,
Okay.
transitioning
Okay.
as an OT and a rehab counselor.
Okay.
And it was my career, kind of something that I love doing and what I thought was going to be my path. So it was really hard for me to leave, but I kind of was like forced to leave,
Yeah.
and I left, and I already knew that I needed to leave, and you know, that's the thing about being in touch with your spirit and being in touch with your now,
Mm-hmm.
is that you kind of know what happens before it even happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, does everybody feel that's happened? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get this like thinking, or you feel like you see something and it like catches your mind and you think about it,
Yeah.
for a week later or
But then
whatever.
sometimes you also think like, oh, I don't think I could do
Yeah,
that.
you talk yourself down
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
always talk myself down.
Yeah.
And so you never know. And then you're like, oh, that's why. That's
Yeah.
why I had that thought or that vision or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so I knew I was going to have to leave that job. And um, I was writing a grant for the farm
Mm-hmm.
that I now am part of. And I was like, there's no way I can get this grant done. I have 22 hours to finish it
Wow.
and still run this program that I was running at the time for work. And yeah, I left and I finished that grant and just finishing up that 3 years of granting
Wow.
in March. Yeah, so I think what got me into farming, I have no clue. I
It was
really, it's
just,
like
it was
so
calling
far
you.
from being an
Yeah.
OT, occupational therapist, but um,
Farming is hard. Like we have a farm. It's very much labor intense.
oh yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, yeah, it is hard work.
it
Yeah.
really is. But
Yeah.
like when I was like 6 years old, I had this recurring dream for a long
Mm.
time, even until I
Yeah.
was adult, where I would have this retreat that was inclusive, that people with disabilities or without disabilities, that community members could come to this place and like be free to create
Yeah.
and then share their creations. And um, so I've always kind of looked for that because it's a recurring dream.
Yeah.
And when I met the people that, at the farm, um, I met them and they were very excited. They didn't really have a great vision. And when I talked to them about the vision that I had for the place, they adopted it pretty easily and loved it.
Yeah.
And so I just, you know, immersed myself. I base jumped off a cliff and went
Wow.
into something totally different.
Yeah.
But what I did, my schooling and my education, my career, that all kind of supported me to what I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
able to do those retreats and I
Mm.
wouldn't be able to do the workshops that I do for
What
team
did you go to
building.
schooling for? Like what were you studying?
Um, I My bachelor's degree was in speech pathology and
Okay.
audiology with ceramics as a minor.
Wow.
And I was like a wannabe artist, I think. And
Yeah.
my master's degree was in rehab counseling, and my doctorate is in occupational therapy.
Wow.
So I think, I mean, that's very insignificant. I mean, even though I spent so much time
Yeah.
doing that, and sometimes when I was going into farming, I was like, I spent all this money. I got into debt. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, this
Student loans.
education.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what am I thinking? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, really, what am I thinking? But I couldn't deny this path was opening
Yeah.
and it was like pushing hard.
Mm-hmm.
So many things every single day
Mm-hmm.
happened that made me open my eyes
Mm-hmm.
and open my
Mm-hmm.
ears and open
Signs.
my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many. And it was almost crazy. And maybe I'll share one with you, and
Yeah, I would
it's
love
kind
to
of a
hear.
personal one.
Yeah.
But I'm named after a woman in my family. Her name
Mm-hmm.
is Hamanalao, and there's a story called Namo Olelo Hamanalao,
Mm-hmm.
and I just like my Lapa'au teacher came to visit me at the farm when
Mm-hmm.
I was making a decision if I was going to be in this farm or not. And she said, you know, you remind me of this story, Namo Olelo Hamanalao. She didn't know that's my name.
Wow.
And then she goes, I want to tell you about this story. And this girl is like younger than me, right? So I'm like, oh, shoot. Um, and she told me about this story, and she was telling me about, how she, grew up with her grandmother and, did lived in the mountains and
Yeah.
in a valley. And I've always been looking for a valley and didn't know what valley. I thought it was on Molokai, because I was going to paddle around the backside. And I thought, oh, that's where the valley is that I kept coming in my dreams. And but it wasn't, because then in that story it talks about where Hamanalao grew up,
Mm-hmm.
and that story was Mount Ka'ala,
Mm-hmm.
which is right the mountain of the valley that the farm is at.
Wow.
Holomua Farms is at. Yeah. So once that happened, I was like, okay, boom, slap in the face, right? I mean, like if that's not
A
a,
sign.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to call it a sign though, but I
Yeah.
want to,
Yeah.
if that's not a slap in the face,
Yeah.
then what
Yeah.
is, right? And
Yeah.
I was like, holy moly, I was meant to be here.
Yeah.
And then I started realizing, you know, when you're in, when I was like working and, you know, I almost, or even being educated, it's almost like I never was educated in the feeling, like
Mm-hmm.
feeling things.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
was more educated in,
Like
like,
book work,
like the scientific
yeah,
process, what's
yes.
observable,
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
feelable,
Yeah.
what's like touch and tangible. Um, and so when, so it takes a lot for me to like feel good.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like this whole 2.5 years farming
Mm-hmm.
has taught me, like it was almost like a education in listening to the Aina, listening to the people
Mm-hmm.
around you in the community,
Mm-hmm.
listen to the animals, listen to the wind, the makani,
Mm-hmm.
listen to the ua,
Mm-hmm.
and just like feeling that and knowing that everything that is around me is created from a source
Yeah.
that has that source,
Mm-hmm.
including me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm connecting on a source level, and
Mm-hmm.
it's connecting my ability to feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so obviously I'm not like the expert, but I'm better than what I was in
Yeah.
feeling. And I think we go like in these ebbs and flows of life, right? The water scenario where, like sometimes you really feel, sometimes you're super pissed, so
Mm-hmm.
you don't put yourself in a situation where you can feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Like you block
so,
it.
yeah, you
Yeah.
block it yourself because you're like, no, I don't want to feel that, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so many times I talk
Yeah.
myself out of like, no, I definitely doesn't want to feel that because my brain is telling me something else,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, but I do feel like yeah, I'm living my dream right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so much lessons that, you know, some schools come to my farm and I allow them to do project or place-based learning. And
Yeah.
I always tell them that you don't come here for me to teach you. You come here to feel and connect
Yes.
so the land can teach you
Yeah.
and so the water can teach you and so the trees can teach you and
Mm-hmm.
all of that stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I really do believe that because it has taught me so much already.
Mm-hmm. I think as Polynesians, we're very much connected to the land. We're
Mm.
connected to the ocean and stuff like that. But I think the way we are today, like we're so like Americanized now. You know what I mean? So I feel like even for us, like we sometimes lose our way of being so connected that we also forget to listen to our now. We forget how. and we block it. Like, it's like, no, like, it's like a calling, like this is meant for you and it's going to come to you. But it's like, oh no, I'm not doing that. Like, nope, can I get another calling? And it's like,
Yeah.
but we have to learn to like listen to that and tune back in again.
Yeah, I mean, be careful when you listen because sometimes you don't want to know what that is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, but I do think that we do talk ourselves out of the things that we should be doing.
Yeah.
Like we were born to do things
Yeah.
here. We were born to change this world.
Yeah.
And when we talk ourselves and tell us that we can't or talk ourselves out of it,
Yeah. We only stop
things,
ourselves.
yeah.
Yeah.
And things are going to happen to like slap you in the face and you're going to be like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not only slapping in the face, like it could be just to heal yourself and, things
Yeah.
like that. But, you know, I do feel that there are everything that happens to us that we're put in the situations or whatever
Yeah.
happens to help us
Mm-hmm.
to move in the direction that we were in the direction that the path that we were made to
Mm-hmm.
change
Mm-hmm.
this world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a saying that it's like everything is happening for you, not to you. But you just need to be able to like tune in and listen. And yeah. Yeah. So we want to take it to the audience. Does anyone here have any questions? Just raise your hand. Gabby has a question.
Okay, my question is, what is the greatest lesson you've learned from the land so far as a farmer?
Oh, wow. Okay. The
That's a good
greatest
one.
lesson I learned from the land was to open my ears and listen, to open my eyes and see, and to open my skin to feel, and to open my na'au to feel too. Yeah. That's, the land tells you a lot if you open your senses.
I like that.
Because I'm a farmer of soil, not of plants.
Thank you for sharing your story. You're clearly very ambitious and driven, and you talk about leaning into this feeling of intuition. And so I'm wondering how you see yourself balancing the two now that you're leaning more into feeling in this part of your life.
Yeah, so I talked a little bit about being educated, and that taught me how to be ambitious. Like, I was already ambitious internally, but I mean, school definitely taught me how to manage and to organize and to research and to figure out things and, get things done in a fashionable way or in a logical way. But the balance of feeling, it's almost like my feeling, it's kind of educating my ability to manage and to organize. And so I lead with that. And I don't allow what I think to talk myself down. Yeah.
I feel like how though? Like how do you like because of course everyone has those fears, right? That comes up and stuff like that. But how do you learn to just like be like, no, I'm not gonna listen to that voice?
Yeah, that requires work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So every morning I wake up and I meditate and pray. I put myself in environments that allow me to be positive and feel empowered. And, of course, people around, sometimes they're not very yeah? And so I have to, so everybody has light in them. And so I try and bring out that light within them and not let that fears or anger or whatever, and just try and bring out the light in them.
So I have kind of a two-part question. Aina and vibe are so intrinsically connected. Do you think, so the first part of this question, do you think that your relationship with the ocean helped you open up to listen to the Aina? And then the second part of this question is, do you think that learning how to listen to Aina has affected your relationship with the ocean?
Oh, yes, and yes. Yeah, I answered that question.
Maybe repeat the question so that way
Oh,
people
yeah.
listening, yeah.
So, you know how the Vai and the Aina and the Kai, they're all connected. I'm going to butcher this question. And then also, do you think that the relationship that I had with the ocean already, the Kai, helped inform me of the relationship that I have with the Aina now, or that I'm learning right now? And I do think so. The ocean is a very, so what comes to mind is I am a servant of the land. And in the ocean, I am a child. So I play in the ocean. I look to the ocean like for like future, yeah. But when I'm on land, that's where I work, yeah. So I give all that I can, I do all that I can. And after I do all that I can, someone makes up for the rest. Yeah. Did that answer? Okay.
Yeah. We have any other questions? No?
So I want to revisit what you
Yeah.
had said. I don't, you know, when I talk about like do all that you can and then something helps, that's the power of doing stuff that you were born to do. Yeah. So if you're doing something that you're born to do, that you had dreams about, that you feel super comfortable in, then you do all you can, and people come, opportunities come, you know, heavy equipment operators come, you know, and, you know, the oil, I just started learning how to change oil, you know, stuff like that happen, yeah? Just because we only can do what we can do. We're not gonna be perfect here, yeah? So we just do all that we can do, and that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be enough. And even though we may think we didn't do more, we couldn't at the time. And so it's enough. So thanks.
It's like in this moment, I'm doing my best with what I have in this moment. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then being okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was such a powerful, powerful interview. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Do you have any
thank
other
you.
questions?
I know you're ready, but how did it feel when you got inducted to the Duka Hanamoku Waterman Hall of Fame? Like, that is such an accomplishment. Like, and Nani and I were there, you know, celebrating you, but just, I know, and it was a little while ago, but I'm just so in awe. Like, how was that for you to experience that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I felt unworthy for sure. I never really look back and like look at what I do. So when all of that stuff was out in the limelight, very uncomfortable for me. But so when I was up there accepting this award, it just kind of motivated me that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, that I should keep on going and allow myself to take those opportunities. But the other part of it was I wanted to celebrate the people that supported me throughout the path. And that award really was for them, to me, because what they supported me in put me in the position that I could do that or get that kind of award and become that inductee. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I think I saw
And
a
then
question.
Uokea. I think Uokea has a question.
Hi, Ann.
Hi.
Thanks for sharing. Your story is so inspiring, and I think for the generations coming up, if you could, in order to preserve the wisdom of our Aina and our Kai, what are the 3 things you would really want our youth to know as teenagers in order to help preserve all of the wisdom and all of the gifts that we have here in Hawaii.
Here in Hawaii, it's very finite. Yeah. I see the effects that previous generations have had in the Wailua area where my farm is at. And I think the kids nowadays, they're pretty amazing. I have children that come and young adults that come, and there's so much knowledge out there already. And like when I was younger, I never learned about real Hawaiian practice and culture. It's only, even now, I feel like I'm just touching the surface because it's so deep. My advice to the ones coming up is keep going, keep doing, and be proud. Like, be proud of who you are and where you're at, because it is beautiful and it is so healing for people. Yeah.
That was beautiful. That was so good. Thank you so, so much. And Merry Christmas to me. Today's Christmas for me, guys, to be in this room with all of you and to be here sitting with you, Ann. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your journey on becoming. Yeah, it's so powerful. It's so inspirational. And thank you so much. Yeah. If anyone wants to maybe book your retreat space or any of that, how do they, what's the name of your retreat space?
Holomua Farms.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put it all in the show notes so people can find that. Do you have an Instagram?
HolomuaFarms.com. I
Okay.
think it's the,
Yeah.
sorry, I don't really know. It's so private. I don't, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you just call me up too. I'm at the farm every day. You can
Aw.
come visit too.
Yes.
I like volunteers.
Yeah. We would love to
I
come.
cannot be a farmer without other people around. And
Yeah.
so, yeah. But
Awesome.
yeah, I do appreciate you asking me to do this. Yeah, I feel a little bit more vulnerable, but not. You guys are, I feel some energy here.
Yeah.
Like mana, like strong. And everyone has a story. And I hope you share, because it's not just me that has a story. And so, yeah.
Everyone
you
has
guys
their
would be awesome.
journey, their journey on becoming.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the Mapuana Reed Show, and we will see you all in the next episode.